So tonight I want to just touch briefly on what morality might be from a green meditation point of view. And the most important thing to realize about it is that it is organic. It isn't written anywhere out there. There's no rule book that we can follow to the letter. We all know, I think, that any rule book followed to the letter really creates moral monsters. I'm sure have all met monstrous human beings who follow the very letter of the law, because doing that can become an excuse for all kinds of cruelty. And then neither does it mean skirting the laws by which people live or ignoring them, failing to take account of them. Rather, it means entering into a cyclical, daily relationship with one's own feelings and one's own behavior. We find this in every tradition. I ran into it the other day in the following form in the Buddhist tradition. This is Jogo Khyentse Rinpoche, Tibetan Buddhist master. He says, there are two practices that should be observed regularly every morning and evening of your life. That's interesting. It doesn't say there are practices that you should do for a while. It doesn't say that these are practices that you should take up when you need them, or practices that are there for you when you need them. He says these are practices that you should do every single day of your life. Really, I think it's pretty much the only practice he says that about. You'll find in many traditions there are teachers who say the exact same thing. Reb Nachman of Breslov, famous Hasidic teacher, said exactly the same thing. And Reb Nachman's method is exactly, it turns out, the same as the Buddhist method. Every morning, generate bodhisattva. That means the thought of enlightenment, or the enlightened mind, the aspiration to attain the enlightened mind. Every morning, generate bodhisattva, compassion for all beings. And pray that throughout the day you will never forget to think of the welfare of others. Every evening, remember all that you have thought and done during the day, and determine how much was motivated by compassion and how much by selfishness. This is the practice. This really is the core practice of moral discipline. It's not a matter of having like 250 rules like traditional Theravada Buddhist monks, or following all the laws of the Mishnah. So it's not a matter so much of that as much as it is staying in harmony and in tune with one's own life. Now the interesting point here is that it says in the morning, generate a mind of compassion, to be kind to all beings. And in the evening, evaluate how well you did. It doesn't say anything about beating yourself up. It just says every morning and every evening. Get used to this rhythm. Now, those of us who practice green meditation understand this in a slightly different way. We don't take for granted the expressions morning and evening, because what we've discovered is that in fact the times of day are essential to this practice. You can no more take moral inventory first thing in the morning than you can save all beings in the middle of the night. Daylight is the time for human interaction. The hours of daylight are when the inequities occur, when moral lapses occur, where unkind words are spoken, or when great deeds are done, when we express our compassion, our love for other people, and help them, take care of them, offer kind words, offer monetary assistance, or give food. Could be any number of things. Nighttime is when our demons come to haunt us. In modern developed nations, the average person, as they get older, starts to wake in the middle of the night. This is quite common. And you wake to a different state of consciousness. You basically wake to a moral consciousness. That's the reason why in the popular parlance it's called the hour of the wolf. This is a time when our fears, our anxieties, our insecurities, or our regrets come to haunt us, and where they seem potentially fatal. The wolf that comes to you in the middle of the night is it seems to us quite capable of slaying us. Now what we don't realize, of course, is that what's being slain is selfishness and delusion, and that this is a process that we're meant to engage in. It is there for our benefit, and it's actually a very loving gesture. It's like dreams. We have dreams in the middle of the night as well because something is nagging at our mind. Something is dragging through our lives like a limp. There's a dead weight inside of us that isn't properly balanced. Something needs to be addressed. And those people who pay close attention to their dreams will find that even if they don't wake in the middle of the night, their dreams are speaking to them. This rhythm of starting every morning by generating bodhisattva, and that's really what the mani is for. Om Mani Padme Hum is for generating that compassionate mind of the Buddha. Lama Yeshe, I think it was, famous Lama who came to this country, he said that even if you do not want to cultivate compassion, reciting the mani will cause compassion to take root in your mind. I love that. It will cause compassion to take root in your mind, even if you don't want it. Even if you don't want it. So it's a sort of a mystery how this happens. Somehow, when we relax the claims of the self and become very simple, we naturally tend towards generosity and simplicity and happiness and sharing those feelings with other people. It becomes easy to do so once we let go of our own troubles and our own worries. But of course, in any given day we make mistakes. It's like navigating by the stars. Imagine yourself on a journey without any instruments but the stars to tell your way. You can navigate by day, but it's quite easy to go off course and to end up pointed in the wrong direction at the end of the day. If we live our lives one day to the next, the way people in developed nations with artificially extended days, with electric lighting that's on 24 hours a day, 24 hours a day cable news, easily available stimulants for consciousness at the flick of a switch. Those of us who live in that kind of culture and that kind of society are losing our bearings through deep time. We have veered off the path through deep time, from a deep past to a deep future as a species, and now we're headed somewhere probably over a cliff. We're off path. We don't have any way of finding the path again unless we wake to the night, unless we are able to see the stars once more and to chart a course by them. Now the stars in this scenario are somewhat symbolic. They really stand for eternal guiding principles of life, kindness, living within our means. I sometimes think that the earth's morality is actually very simple. What the earth tells us over and over again is basically only this: do as you like, but live in your means. It says this over and over again. It says it to every species. Every species is given the same basic moral lesson. Do as you like, but live in your means. Live within your means. Okay? What that means is live lightly. Live peacefully. And the implications of this are very profound. It means don't harm other people. That's not living lightly. That's taking more. Invariably, that means taking more than you need. Okay, or living beyond your means. Every unkind word, every act of aggression is an overstepping of our needs, our basic needs, and imposing on others. And so the paramita of moral discipline is actually very simple. I like Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche's approach, as well as Reb Nachman's, because it doesn't just tell us we ought to be moral, it tells us how. It's not a matter of living up to a certain kind of high moral standard as much as it is living within a moral rhythm, daily rhythm of life, where during the day we act and at night we reflect.